Okay, in this video, we're going to briefly talk about note names. And yes, again, it all comes back to the keyboard. I use the keyboard a lot. It's a great visual tool. So, note names. I'm going to slide this up a little bit. Add this treble clef in here. We'll get to bass clef in just a minute. But very simply, the 7 letters of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, are just simply going to be placed on the on this treble clef staff. And for the sake of clarity, I'm going to use an orange highlighter. We're going to start sitting on top of the treble clef staff. And by the way, it's called treble clef. It's also called the G clef. Why? Because when it's properly done, this treble clef symbol here creates a bullseye right on G, the G clef or the treble clef. And with G's, we're going to start up here on G. Sitting on top of the treble clef staff is G. All right, and then we're going down the staff. We're going to go down the keyboard. And if you're playing piano, you know that on your left hand, the lower notes, you're going down the keyboard. So down this way on the treble clef staff, down that way on the keyboard. Right below G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, and then on the ledger line here below the staff is C. Hopefully you can see that. And on the ledger line up here, what comes right after the G? It's A again. It repeats itself. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And you can continue on up with other ledger lines. Bottom ledger line here, low C. Now, great teachers have wonderful ways of remembering things. There's been a billion different explanations of all this, but you can come up acronyms, lines, E, G, B, D, F. Every good boy deserves fudge, or come up with any acronym that you want. The spaces, F, A, C, E, spells face. A million different ways you can come up with it, but think of it logically. It's just these note names in successive order. Okay? Now, going to go to bass clef. So I'm going to pull that away. Bass clef. It's the same idea, except I've created it backwards here. Now, sitting on top of the bass clef staff is B. Then I'm working my way downward on this keyboard here. B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B. Sorry, I wrote that a little bit too close. A, G, F. All right, and speaking of F, this bass clef staff is also called the F clef because these 2 dots signify the F line. Okay, so again, hopefully you can read these. Probably should have picked a little darker marker here, but again, successive order. And you can kind of come up with all sorts of acronyms. The spaces, all cows eat grass. And with the lines, good boys do fine always. Any acronym, but it's a successive order of note names from A to G. And up here, the ledger line above is C. Okay, we continue A, B, C. And moving this out of the way, If you take the treble clef and the bass clef, you see that the C is the exact same note. And so the treble clef and the bass clef are joined by this C, and we often call that middle C. So below middle C in treble clef is B. It'd be the next note down. Above middle C in bass clef is D. So these two clefs, treble and bass, are, when you combine them together, are called the grand staff. This is what piano players will look at when they play piano. But this is the basic gist of note names. Hope this helps.